Hi, everyone. Welcome again. This is Shelly Dressel, and tonight is one of my group channels with the Universal Light Beings. If this is your first time listening, I'm channeling, which means these beings communicate through me. Albayon, Arcturan, Brysentia is Pleiadian, and then Crystallia is from the Omniverse. And we've been working together for many years now, at least 7 or 8 years, and they just bring through information about what's happening in our world, ideas for you, way to be connected, just all sorts of different things. So I never have any idea what they're going to talk about, but it is always uplifting. And I know there's a lot of stuff out there. So I always say, you listen to your own intuition. This ascension process is about each one of us really connecting to our own intuition and expanding like that. So, so at the end of the day, if you hear, different people saying totally different things, then you go with what's right for you. And because there's so much that's just unknown at this point. Okay, so you could also, like, I'm streaming on Facebook and Rumble. I will post this on YouTube later on, but feel free to like or follow or subscribe or whatever it is that that each area is asking for. Okay, good to see you, Deborah, and from New York, and then from New York, Judy. Good to see you, and Leah, Barefoot Gigi. Ha! Love that one. That's so cute. So people are still coming in. I'll jump in just a minute. For those, if anyone is interested, I do have private sessions that are available. Shelly at crystallinetransformations.com or Shelly at goddesslight.net. You can send me an email and ask about times that are available. It's various times of the day and various days of the week, and it just kind of fluctuates sometimes week to week. It depends on what's happening. But go ahead and send me an email, and you can get more information about that through both of my websites. And what else do we want to say? It's interesting. Remember how Dragon came through that one time? I've been sitting with him the last couple of days, and I don't know if he's going to do a mini or if we're working on a class. Because he's just been sharing a lot of information with me. And I think one of the things that is important to understand, or that his message is that dragons are shapeshifters. And he says it's really important for each one of us to remember that right now. Not that dragons are shapeshifters, but that we can shift our own energies. We can change our essence. And there was a time in this planet when we could change, from human into animal to many different things. And it was very, very common, not just a few that could do that. So for where we are right now, that he's just reminding us it's important to be fluid. It's important to be authentic. It's important to understand who we are from our core essence. So just wanted to pass that on from him to let you know that when I did channel him, I got a great response. So many people were very interested. So he's not gone. He'll be back. Good to see you, Kenneth. Joanne, thank you. Angie, Terry, good to see all of you. And there was someone that was from a place not too far from me, and I was like, do I know you? Because most of the people in the area, I've met them, or we've talked or something in the past. All right. Well, let's see. 7:04. Usually I have so much to say, but today I don't seem to. Oh, eclipse season. For those of you that haven't seen it, I did a ULB mini. It had Brysentia talking about the lunar eclipse that we just had on the 25th, and then Albayon spoke about the solar eclipse that's coming up on April 8th. This is a really, really important time. I really believe, and I'm sure most of you do too, that we've been going through these phases with these wave upon wave upon wave of influxes of energy. We've talked about solar flares. We've talked about changes in the universe. We've talked about alignment of planets. We've talked about all these different things. And that's what this, sorry, something in my mouth. That's what this time is all about, that there's 2 weeks in between those two, and there is just this powerful influx of energy and light. So I'm anxious to see exactly what's going to come out. I'm positive they're going to talk about it, but don't forget to go look at that mini if you're interested, because they do talk about a lot of information around each one of those. I don't think they're going to go, I'm sorry, I got a hair in my mouth or something. I don't think they're going to go and repeat everything again tonight, because they don't need to. It was already there. Hey, Karen, good to see you. Terry. Oh, yeah, I think I said Terry. So I do want to make one last statement, and then I'm just going to jump into it no matter how many are here. I do appreciate how people come from all over the planet. We have people, obviously, a lot in the United States. That's where I'm from. But there's a lot of people from Australia. There's a lot of people from the European countries. And there's a few from Asia, not a huge amount from Asia. But the point is, we are all over the planet. Oh, Canada, of course, a lot from Canada. I don't remember seeing a lot from South America, too. But anyway, we are making a huge difference in this ascension process. Not just we, the people that follow this information, but each of us connects with the group whole, and we are all that are working with the light, meditating, doing things like that. It all adds to more of the volume and the energy that is supporting humanity. So it does make a difference, and you are making a difference. For those people that think, oh, I'm just one little person, I can't make that much difference, well, you really are. So I wanted to say that too. And I thank you. I thank you for following. I thank you for always being excited when they're here to talk. And I really appreciate that. Okay. Well, just going to jump into it. Greetings. It is I, Crystallia. I am here at the very beginning this evening because I wish to talk with you about the alignments that are taking place. I'm sorry, I keep downloading into Shelly, and if I'm downloading into Shelly, I'm downloading into all of you also. So let's talk for a moment about the omniverse. There are so many times that you consider where you are on this planet, and how for so much of your life you thought there's only this one lifetime, there's only this one planet. Although my sense is that there were many of you that said, but that doesn't make sense to me. There's got to be more. There's got to be something else. You knew that there was a solar system, and you always said, with that solar system, they've got to have life on those forms. So when you consider this transition to go from thinking there's only this one lifetime to there's only the Earth, from that into, well, there must be life forms on many other planets. There must be consciousness on other planets. And oh, by the way, I've probably lived many lives also. That's a big transition to go through in a very short period of time. And I'm sure there are people that are not necessarily listening right now that are still over in that place where you've been. So I wanted to share with you, this is what's happening with you on the Earth at this time in your universe. It's primarily in your galaxy, but it is having an impact on the universe also. So I've spoken about where I come from, where we are much more one consciousness. And through that consciousness, even though there are still specific individual soul essences, there is so much that is a part of the group consciousness that if someone gets hurt, or someone finds out about something, perhaps working in another place, and they begin to empathically take on whatever that other person is going through, it's like there's a light bulb that goes off, and everybody else knows this is happening. So we can therefore go to support that person. Our universe is much smaller than yours, and it is because we have a very consistent vibration and frequency that is throughout. But even within that, we have family groups, and within our family group, there is a much more open experience for telekinesis, I guess you could say, or telepathy. And so if you think about it as like the first layer, like two people that are married to one another, we'll say, they have a very open alignment, and they can frequently sense or feel everything that that other person is saying. And then you have families, and then you go on to the next level and your extended family. And while it's not as open, you can still know that something's going on. And then, but it's not quite as loud. It's not quite as intense. And then you go up another layer, and that's more the collective consciousness. We do have towns, yes, but it's just it's different it's hard to compare it to what you have, because you guys are so vast and everything is spread out, and you have such completely different cultures, one from another. But people have been asking, be it in their consciousness or their meditations, they've been asking, how does it work to have that type of a consciousness? So I wanted you to be able to understand that those relationships that are closest, more like an intimate type relationship. And I just heard someone say, how can there be intimacy if you don't have physical bodies? We do develop somewhat of a physical body. It's not as dense as yours because we are vibrating at a higher vibration. It's just that we don't stay in those physical bodies because they're not quite as open. There are some limitations when we're in the physical body, but we do manifest them at certain times. So then when you get on, like that next layer up, it might be the community that we live in. And then the next layer up is, there are obviously many fine tunings between this. And then there's the collective consciousness of the whole universe. So if you think about that and consider, how is this opening up for you? How is this type of collective consciousness becoming a reality on the earth plane? Consider your intuition. When you tap into your intuition, you may sense things. First of all, about the people that are closest to you, you may sense, oh, they're upset, or oh, that person needs this, or oh, that person needs that. And you receive that information, and sometimes you just ignore it. Sometimes you just take it in and you just move on about your day. But other times you may hear something and you'll say, let me pay attention to that. Let me go spend time with them. Let me go talk to them. Let me go see if there's something that they need. Not everybody hears things. Sometimes people just feel a sense and then connect with that family member and say, hey, been thinking about you. What's going on? And then as you continue to expand your consciousness, and as there are more and more people that are raising up and vibrating at that higher frequency or that higher level of consciousness, then you're able to tap into the more of the collective consciousness of the planet. When I look at the earth plane, and I've said this so many times, but about how dense it was when I first got here. So now it's gotten to be a level where there is enough of the higher frequencies that you can now flow in and out of that collective consciousness more freely than what you could do before. And you may think, okay, that sounds good to me. But how am I going to use it? What's it going to mean? More of you have, I've been hearing it through the things I've read through Shelly's consciousness. I've been seeing it through the way in which I've communicated with people, that there are more and more people that are just picking up on stuff, and they don't always understand what they're picking up on. However, they're saying, I'm aware of things in a different way than what I have been before. With the influx of these two, well, it's hard. Sorry. Downloading into Shelly. Give us a second. there are constantly impulses of energy and light that are coming into the earth plane. There are constantly impulses of energy that are being sent out to the universe and to the galaxy in which you live. So this in and out flow of energy is something that is always going on. There have been multiple times that there have been big influxes of light that came through at an intensity that was intended to break down that density that you've had upon the earth. Within the last 18 months to 2 years, you've had about 4 really big, intensive impulses of light. And they've done their job. They've been breaking down the energy. They've been breaking down, and then it gets cleared away. Not it just because if you think about a rock and you break it down and then you pulverize it, and it goes from something that is pretty solid into something that is dust that then gets absorbed or blown away in the wind, then there's nothing there that was that rock. And this is what you've been doing with your consciousness. This is what you've been doing with the rise in the vibration of the earth plane. So now you have where maybe about a year ago, even, I would say you've got 1 million people, maybe 2 million that are raising up to that higher vibration. I would say you now have at least 2 billion. Think about that. 2 billion people on your earth plane are raising up into the higher frequency, into the higher energy. Now, how many of those people are actually conscious that they're doing that? Maybe about 50% of that, maybe slightly less. But that doesn't make it any less important. What that means is that you've got young children that are doing it, that are automatically doing it. You've got people that are on the verge of waking up that are automatically tapping in and supplying that energy. And these are people that are already very intuitive, even though they may not consider themselves intuitive. So this is continuing to permeate through the earth. So we come to where we are right now. You've still had your solar flashes that come in at a consistent basis. They still continue to break up the energy. When you get an equinox, when you get that covering up, so the sun or the moon, as it's going across your planet, it sends out a radiation of light. It radiates an energy. It radiates a vibration. It radiates a frequency. So when that is continuing to do its radiation, but then you put something in front of it and that blocks it, even though it may seem like it's only for a few minutes, it's actually much longer than that. And what's happening is that stops the energy for that moment of time, and it's building up. If you think about it, like going back and forth between the sun and the moon, it's going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And it's creating this big ball of energy or light. And then when it's no longer blocking it, that ball is sent into the earth plane. This happens with all of the equinoxes that you have. But right now, because of the planetary alignment, you have even more coming in on a regular, consistent basis. So then when you block that and that back and forth energy is creating that ball, it's making it even more impactful than it normally would be. You had that just a couple of days ago, and I know a lot of people said, I don't feel any different. I don't think it had any impact. Fine. So then you have 2 weeks of this particular energy that's going to continuously come in, and then you're going to do that again. But this time, it's going to be a longer period of time. This time, it's what everybody, not everybody, but many, many, many people are talking about it and focusing upon it. And as you know, when something is focused upon, it gets bigger and bigger. So all of these people that are talking about the eclipse, and they're talking about the change, and they're talking about what's happening, it's amplifying the energy that is behind the sun. Solar eclipse tend to be more powerful than the lunar eclipse anyway, because it's the sun that is really connected into the central spiritual sun. And so it's the sun that really, really, really amps up that energy. So what's going to happen on easily a week before and a week after, but it's going to go on for months before that, April 8th, is they'll have that sun that's beaming down, that's been receiving this energy from the universe, from this alignment with the planets, and beaming it down into the earth plane, and then it's going to be blocked, and that energy will bounce back and forth, creating a bigger and bigger impact. And then when the sun is passed, boom, it's going to be sending that down into the earth. So what can you do between now and then? Really focus on that ball of light, that impact, the energy that's coming through the sun as being the most clear, concise alignment with the soul energy. That's not a good equation. Have it be clear, concise, aligned with the highest frequency possible. Because then your own soul energy is still having an impact. It is still connecting. It is still in alignment with this. But by the entire planet, or those 2 billion, or however many it is, by all of you really focusing your intention as high light frequency, it's going to make a world of difference. So there have been people asking, is this going to be the end? Is this going to be what they think it is? Is this going to be, oh, I know you have those words from the Bible. Is this going to be that? Sure, you could call it that. But there are many times during your history, there are many times during your experiences when people have said, oh, this could be this. And then in retrospect, no, it wasn't. Or this could be this. And in retrospect, no, it wasn't. So perhaps this is, perhaps it isn't. My point is, this is a very powerful time. You've been talking about it for months on end, and now it's here. It's happening. It's happening right now. And you can have an absolute direct impact upon it. If you happen to listen to this sometime after the fact, then that's okay. You can still go back and tap into the energy, because you are tapping in through the energy that we are creating right here. So let us all take a moment, close your eyes. And we're going to send our energy into what is going to be your April the 8th. And as the sun is building up for this eclipse, just send energy and light from your heart, from your consciousness, from your soul into the sun itself, or into the whole eclipse situation, that it will amplify to the highest light frequency as is possible to create the changes needed to move forward upon the earth. Whew. Woof, that felt good, did it not? So there we did it. And now everyone that listens to this, it'll be done again. And each one of you that does it in your own daily meditations, you'll be doing it again. You are powerful. I don't think humanity understands how much impact they can have on any situation. There are many people talking about doomsday. There are many people talking about the crash of the stock market. They're talking about the crash of the banks. They're talking about the crash of that bridge. They're talking about so many different things that evoke fear and problems into people. And of course, there are going to be changes. There are going to be things that are going to be complicated. There are going to be things that will seemingly be not at all what they are right now. But look at it through the eyes of, but this is good. But this is helpful. But this is for the betterment of all. And as you begin focusing upon that, it will grow and grow and grow. This is a very exciting time to be here. This is what I came in for. I'm not leaving afterwards. I just heard someone say, well, does that mean once this is done, that you're leaving? No, I don't know when I'll leave, but not anytime soon. Because even with all that we're talking about, and even with this knowledge and this awareness that each one of you have, there will be many, many, many that will just go through the days, not know a bit of difference, and just think, oh, whatever. But look at the world, look at your planet, as if you send your consciousness out into the universe and you're looking down at the planet. You can look through my eyes. I see a planet that is filled with greens and blues and colors, that there's still somewhat of a layer of density or darkness or whatever you want to call it. But I see coming up through that many, many, many beams of light. So much so that it has almost 100% eradicated that other layer. When they've spoken for so long now, it's been about 6 months now, that completion of the shutting down of the third dimension took place, it did. So that density that I see is no longer being refilled or regenerated. It's now just using up the last of its resources. And so continue to send that light through the earth. The change is here. It is going to happen. It is happening now. So why not be a part of it? And then when you think back in the years to come, you'll think, I remember that time. I remember what happened. And I remember that I was as much a part of the influence as anybody else. Because I chose the light. I chose love. I chose to align with the highest light frequency. Deep breath in, and breathe out. Okay. Are there questions for me tonight, Alexander? Talk about the 3 days of darkness. There will not be 3 days of darkness. There was going to be, 2 weeks of darkness? There was going to be a week. There was going to be 10 days. There was going to be 3 days. But things have been changing in such a consistent, gradual manner that there will not be 3 days of darkness. So some are thinking that as the moon covers the sun, it's going to be darkness and it's going to sit there and stay for 3 days. No, it's not going to happen like that. And people have thought the 3 days of darkness was the going down of the grid, and that has been changed so that it may go down for bits and pieces in different places, but it is not going down for the whole planet for 3 days or even 12 hours or even 6 hours. There will be random places where parts of the grid goes down and parts, and there may be what they call darkness, but it's not going to be the entire planet for 3 days solid. At least I don't see that. And Albayon and Brysentia are shaking their heads no also. So we do not think that is going to happen. Why am I feeling so sick? Does that have something to do with these upgrades? I've lost my appetite and I'm getting stomach cramps that are very painful. How do I get rid of those symptoms and calm down a bit? This is exactly what ascension symptoms are about. Sometimes people feel a lot of pressure and tension in their head, and they talk about a headache that they can't get rid of, and they talk about feeling like their brain is in a fog, and they just can't. And what's happening is the neurons that are going through their brain are not as smooth and clear because you're literally transitioning the way in which your body is working. So the stomach cramps, the lack of appetite, the pain that you're having, these are all your body transitioning into something new and different. That does not mean you can't eat the foods you used to eat before, but it does mean pay attention. Pay attention. And as much as you can, eat things that are organic, and as much as you can, maybe try smaller portions. And if you need to take something for the pain or discomfort, then by all means do so. But this is a temporary transition that is going on. And what it is the cells in your body have been accustomed to eating, to figuring out how to digest chemicals or figuring out how to digest things that are not necessarily in your best interest. But because it's been there for not hundreds of years, but the last 40 or 50 years, your body has become adjusted to it. Your body is amazing how it can filter out what it needs to filter out. So now suddenly you're changing from a cellular level And those cells go into your bloodstream. Your blood goes into your organs go into your tissues, your ligaments. Every part of your body has been going through this process of transitioning into more light filled, which is the crystalline energy, um, within your body. And so it's not going to be able to tolerate the chemicals. It's not going to be able to tolerate some of the things that are in your atmosphere as easily as it did before. So it is temporary. You will once again adjust to it. You will once again become comfortable with your body. Your body may look different. You may lose some weight. You may gain some weight. You may shift things one way or the other. Shelly frequently has cramps or pains in her fingers. So it can be felt in people in many, many different ways. But consider how you can nurture yourself. If you can soak in a bathtub, if you can spend time outside in the yard, walking barefoot, sitting with a tree, walking in the grass, connecting to the earth, or even, what is this? Holding on to a crystal. There's different ways that you can clear your energy. And so it's about what works for you. Many people, those of you that have been on the planet many times, especially like the outdoors, the trees, etc., those of you that are coming in from the higher frequencies may prefer grounding with a crystal, but that can just clear out your energy. You can also do it by just envisioning a ball of light within you and letting that expand out and clear your energy, or like a ball of light that comes through the top to the bottom. There are so many different ways, but be aware that symptoms such as what this individual talked about, sleep, many of you are either sleeping way longer than you usually do or feel a need for a nap in the afternoon. And then there are others that can't seem to sleep through the night because there's constantly energy that's going through them. So the key here is a disruption from what you used to have as you go into what you will have. And these symptoms are temporary, and they will just get better as your body adjusts. But the ways to help it are nurturing yourself and paying attention to the food you eat, or pay attention if maybe you're in an environment that has a lot of pollution or that has a lot of different things around it. That's when, take care of yourself, try to ground, etc., etc. Another one. Any information on the face that showed up on a video near the full moon? As I'm looking at this, that the individuals, I'm tapping into that individual. As I'm looking at this, it feels as if the face was there to show you that there are so many beings that are always around you. And they knew that people were going to be looking at the moon. They knew that people always look at the moon. And so one slight part of me said it was CGI. But then the other part of me said, no, this is showing you that you can see the non-terrestrials in many, many different forms. They can come up as a perception that you see. They can come up as something solid. They can come up as something that's just a non-formed energy. But this case, it feels like the intention was to try to direct people towards understanding that it was a non-terrestrial consciousness. So if we were put here to wake up others, where did those who are asleep come from? And why are they not chosen to know what we know? Because some people came in with heavier overlays than others. Up until about 85, something like that, maybe 80 to 85. Up until then, everyone that was born were people that had been here many, 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 many different lifetimes. And many of them had also been in Lemuria and Atlantis and, different experiences. Since 1985, you gradually have gotten less and less and less lifetimes on the earth. So therefore less karmic reactions, therefore less energy. So when you look at 2000, that was when you started having a lot of the really high vibrational beings come in but they shut down because they it was the energy was too overwhelming for them. So I speak of these differences because as I'm looking at it and as you're talking, those that came in that are more of the that have had many, many lifetimes, many of them came during this lifetime with the clear intention of clearing out multitudes of different lifetimes. I'm not just talking 5, 10, 15. I'm talking hundreds or thousands of lifetimes. And there were some that were in that cycle that just, death born, death born, death born. And they just literally kept racking them up and never learning anything from one lifetime to the next. So that's an even heavier energy that they're carrying around with them. That's one thing. The other thing is that so many people were tapped into the what was it called again? You called it the matrix. There were so many people that were tapped into the matrix, and that's just their reality. So when they have, again, most of these are people born way before 85. So they've had all of these years of living on the earth plane, of being entrained with the energy from the matrix, and they just literally don't want to wake up. It told them, be part of the crowd, don't think outside the box, don't be different. And so that's something that's just what their belief system is. But this is also why once this gets fully ripped off, you could say, all of this information starts coming out. There's some that will never ever believe it, but this is why when all three of us look at humanity, we can see that so many are way more conscious than what they are aware of. It's because it's right there below the surface, and all it takes is the lifting of the cover, and they will be like, and they'll clear those lifetimes, and they'll be much more aware. Some of them, again, will not, but there will be many, many more that will transition their consciousness very quickly and easily. And I'm hearing a few of you say, fine, I've worked on this for 25 years and they do it in a day. Maybe so. But that's my perception. Skye Prince mentioned that the RV button was pushed and we will be going to exchange currency soon. Can you tap into that? Not a good one for me. Give it to Brysentia or Albayon, because I don't know anything about that. First, I want to thank you for speaking to us. I always feel so much better afterwards. Mike, you're welcome. Thank you for sharing. My husband basically feels that I am nuts. I don't say too much to him because I know better. But if he asks me something, I tell him my true thoughts. He then pretty much says, I don't know what I'm talking about. Any advice on how to handle something like this? This may be better for Brysentia to talk to you about, but let me just look at it from my light perspective, because that is showing that separation that we were talking about. As I look at this individual, which represents many, many, many others of you also, when you're faced with anyone that, I don't know. I'm probably not going to be able to answer this in a very concise manner. When you're faced with someone that asks you a question and then they don't want to hear the answer, so they then shut you down and say you're crazy or you don't know what you're talking about, then to me, the best response is, first and foremost, disconnect any cords, disconnect any hooks, disconnect anything, and simply respond by saying, well, you asked for my opinion. That is my belief. And drop it with that and leave the room. Because what you are doing then is you've explained your true thoughts and beliefs. This person opened up that door and asked for it, and you gave your response. And so they've just sent darts at you. They've just sent hooks into you. So by denying what you say as your truth. And so you have to disconnect those hooks. You have to disconnect those darts that they may have sent. And then you can stand up for yourself by saying, well, that's my truth, and walk out and disconnect completely and just get out of that space. Because you will find that when a person stands in their truth or stands in their belief system without getting pulled in, then it has a much greater resonance. And that would leave them thinking, oh, well, she didn't argue with me. Oh, well, she didn't get upset. And some people may say things like that because they want to see you get smaller. They want to see you doubt yourself because they're saying, you don't know what you're talking about. So by disconnecting everything, stating your truth, leaving the room, then that just leaves them dangling out there. You know, you're not going to engage. You're not going to do it. So that would be my thought on how to handle that. Maybe those that have lived on the earth and that know things a lot more have better ways of handling that. And I can only say that the day is coming, and to me, it does not look that far away, months at the very least. Months at the very most, in which they're going to say, oh, 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 that's what you meant. And there it goes. And then you stand back and say, uh-huh, that is true. Anyway, even now, as I know from looking at things from where they were 4 years ago to where they are now, already millions and millions have awoken. Millions and millions have that were the ones saying, no, that's crazy, are now saying, oh, okay. So you can already see it to a smaller degree, and it's just going to be that much more amplified in the future. Okay. Anything else? All right. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity to share this time with you. We connected in such a way that we are all aligned with this high light frequency now. We sent an even greater impulse that even greater light shines forth. We are impacting what's happening. And by we, I mean all of you. And I'm just a focus to send that out there. So always remember, ascension is about love. Ascension is about knowing who you are as your soul. And ascension is about becoming one as you. Thank you, my friends. And Saluia. Greetings. It is I, Albayon. I come to speak at this time not only about the eclipses, although that is such a focus for what is happening to you right now, but there is more going on than that. I wanted to start out at the beginning here by talking about what's going on the universal side of things. What are we doing out in the universe as pertains to other planets and as pertains to the Earth? There's a lot that I would like to share, but we don't have the hours on end to talk about it. There have been a primary number of planets that have been at the forefront of everything that is going on. You have the Galactic Federation. You've got the Federation of Light. These are different types of groups of individuals that are from other planets, non-terrestrials, non-Terra, non-Earth, that have been very much involved in this process. There, just as you have the many different layers and levels of politics type things on your Earth plane, so do we out in this level. We have different ways of communication. We have different ways, like certain of the planets, well, not just planets, certain of the beings from different planets, where the focus is about that spiritual growth, and others where the focus is about the political aspect, and others where the focus is about the mechanical, or what do you want to say? Not mechanical, but everything that comes along with this knowledge and information. That would be a good way to say it. So when you do have people on the Earth that say, oh, there's no such thing as that, or that must be fake, or they think there's only one organization, then I remind you, there, just as there's not just one organization on the earth plane, there's not one organization out here um, in the universe or in your galaxy surrounding the earth plane. There were a few that talked about Nibiru, and that this lunar eclipse that just took place, that they could actually see Nibiru in some of these planetary pictures, or some of the pictures that people were talking about. And Nibiru was very, very pivotal in much of what happened to the earth plane, but back at the time of Atlantis, and back at the time when there was a lot of the negativity or low vibrational energies. Nibiru itself has changed also, but it is now, even if it might be in your solar system or somewhere close in, that some people think, because they say, oh, every so many number of years it goes past your planet. It is going past your planet at this time. However, it is way out there. It is not having an impact on your planet. So this is something that I've been hearing people ask me about and talk about, and I wanted to clear that up at the beginning. The New Jerusalem, New Bethlehem. I'm sorry. I can only apologize for Shelly. The ship continues to hover and rotate around in this area, and it has become a way station where there are many that come into the ship and many that go out, going back to their home. It's been here for what, 2 years now, I believe, in your Earth plane times, and it is much of a landing place, or it is a place where people will come and spend time. And just as you think about, oh, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to have a tour of duty, or I'm going to be there for a period of time, so too do people come in to be a part of this process with the earth plane. New Jerusalem. See, I knew as soon as I said that I was getting Shelly again. Anyway, so New Jerusalem. The ship, I believe I talked about this another time. There are some smaller ships in the area, but the biggest one is called New Jerusalem. And it is not just a ship. It's like it's a floating planet, you could say, because it does have earth and water and technology and cities that are upon it. It is very, very, very big, but it is not all encased as some might think. It is encased by energy. And that's what keeps, it keeps it within its gravitational pull. But when people connect with New Jerusalem and they come into this place for whatever length of time they need to be there, they are there to, what's the word I want to use? They are there to be a part of this experience. They are there to be in support of other people that are a part of this experience. And most often they go there for a period of time, what would be the equivalent of 2 to 5 years. However, there are others that's their whole life. They have a whole entire life. And again, lifetimes are hundreds of years, the equivalent, in which they're on that ship. They go wherever the ship goes. They're there as a part of this. So I bring this up to you now because there has recently been a change out of the energy on New Jerusalem. And as a result of that, the other ships that are around it, that surround it, that support it, are also changing at this time. So there you will, the ones that were there to be a part of this ascension, some of them were there to take out the negativity. Some of them were there to really focus upon the soul connection, and others were here to kind of go in and out and work with the AI. We've talked about that before, and the importance of AI and the fact that it is here, it's not going to go anywhere, but also the importance of not letting it become something that controls you, or something that becomes more than you. And this is why we speak, like Crystallia, as she spoke so often about, go outside, be in the sunlight, be on the earth. And even though there are certain higher vibrational beings that do better with the crystals, that's completely fine. But it is the AI, that has been negative, that has gone through the Google and the different things that were used for nefarious reasons, that AI becomes less and less when you begin to put forth the intention that you are working with a high light frequency and that you are a part of the earth plane, that you're here on the earth. And so when you do this, it changes the algorithms, it changes your consciousness, it changes what you are willing to just blindly accept. So in doing so, it changes the AI and the way in which it can be worked. So we therefore have a number of people, Sirius B and Sirius A, that have come in that are working specifically with this. They're working with the planet. They're coming in and out, and they're working to make sure that that negativity of control and manipulating AI is no longer going to have as much impact. So that was a recent transition that's taken place. With this influx of energy that is changing, we all see it. We all know it's coming. And to us, it is the next phase, the next level of consciousness coming into the earth plane. You look at it as, oh, it's another day. Oh, it's another life. Oh, it's another year. But it's just a difference in perspective. So we want you to be aware that you are you've not been alone for a very long time. You've never been alone. But as far as this ascension goes, there is a changing of the guards, and you like, who was one of the ones? Like Archangel Michael, Commander Ashtar. There are some of these that were so much at the forefront, and that's what they needed to do. You're going to see less and less and less of them because they've done their job. They don't need to be there anymore doing that. And so you're going to be learning and meeting and hearing about new people in this new phase. Another thing that is going to, I am very well aware that many of you would like to know more about the disclosure. You want to know more about the non-terrestrial exposure. And I do want to speak about this also. Oops, sorry, I'm downloading too much into Shell. Hang on. So many of you have said, okay, they come in peace. I want to see you, please manifest in my house, or please manifest on my walk, or I am open to receive howsoever you want to manifest. And we've attempted to do so, but it hasn't worked because of the changes in vibration and frequency. So Shelly was recently watching something on TV that was about connections or something like that. And it talked about people that had these alignments and these experiences with ETs as they would come into the earth plane. Sometimes it was through a crashed ship. Sometimes it was through the re-engineered ships that they're trying to do. Sometimes it was done through, military. Sometimes the ETs that were on there that just died. And so they're, it also spoke about experiences when you had multiple people that saw the exact same thing, which again confirms that, yep, that's exactly what happened. So there have been times that there have been beings that have come onto the earth plane that have communicated with groups of people that were there for a specific reason and to give a specific message. They were also downloading intention and energy and frequency into particular parts of the world as they were doing that. So the people that saw that or heard that, they didn't have any idea that that was what was going on. Instead, they just said, oh, something weird happened, something strange happened. And then, of course, you had so many people that didn't believe it. So that created such a controversy for people. There were also those, because I confirm, and I've said it before, there was an agreement that was made between humanity, mostly the Nazis and different political people, including the president of the United States at that time. They did make agreements. Were they misled in what those agreements were meant to be? Yes, some of them were misled. Did they have a full comprehension of the many different species out here? No, they did not. For the Nazis in particular, they wanted to use us as a means of expanding their agenda or taking their agenda into a new level. And that did happen in many cases. But during the 50s, 60s, 70s, there were so many people that were abducted, and remember experiments being done on them. And yes, that was what was done. However, I wish to share with you that some of those individuals that captured them, be it for hours or a night or whatever it may be, and even repeatedly, they were not coming in to be horrible and terrible to the people on Earth. They simply had no emotion. So they were just going about their business, doing what they needed, which was to try to take samples and try to take eggs and try to take things to replicate humanity to take back to their planet. However, because they had no emotion and because people were paralyzed and because of the many things that happened to them, all it did was create terror inside of them. And even though they wiped their consciousness, you cannot wipe away a terror that deep. So fast forward from that, and those experiments are no longer taking place. That was eradicated as of 1987, and even before then, it was greatly diminished from what it was. There were also some that were used by nefarious ones for nefarious reasons, and so it began to be very hard to determine, was it these guys just being scientific? Was it these trying to control and manipulate and harm people? Or were there other ETs that were coming in and trying to get rid of all of that that was happening? So there were multiple different species that were coming into the Earth plane, and people never knew what to expect, and there was zero consistency about it other than those that were doing experiments and those that were using people for nefarious reasons. So that went on for way too long, and that was greatly reduced after 1987. And now, with what's been going on since 2015-16, all of that has been taken out, and since 2020. So it's been gradually removing. There are still a very, very few residual upon the Earth plane, but even those are being removed as we speak. So when it comes to people saying, I would like to have an ET connection, I would like to communicate, I would like to know, I know I've talked to you about it before, but what has to happen is, in your collective consciousness that Crystallia spoke about so beautifully, you need to begin by setting the stage, so to speak, that I am here only for the highest light potential. I am here to manifest communication so that I can do my part. I can learn what I want to learn. I can help someone else. And then they may come in like as your angels or as your guides. They may come in through your sleep state. They may come in your prayers and meditations. And then they may manifest much more fully in your life. That is one way to do it. There will be times that they'll come down as groups of beings. There will be times that you will see flying saucers. There are many saucers that are not manned by a consciousness. They're just an unmanned vehicle, sometimes they say. And that will also be present. So there are many different layers and levels of how this is all going to manifest, but you will see much more of it after this change in the consciousness that is taking place. Woo, there's this big expansion going on in Shelly right now, and maybe you guys feel it too, but she's got that kind of a dizzy feeling and just feeling different. So that may be one of the ways in which you feel it. I think this is answering the question that a lot of people had. They wanted to know what's going on in the universe and what's going on the Earth plane, and how are things changing and how are things growing. There are more and more opportunities for these non-terrestrials to come in. And what you have to remember is, not all of us look humanoid. Many of us might have big, long ears. We might have horns. We might have, we might be 10 feet tall. We might be 3 feet tall. They're the type of beings that are out in the universe. Some may look like what you consider animals. Some may look like very, very humanoid. And those are the ones that are trying to be at the forefront, because it is less startling for you to see them and to understand what that is. But just be aware that there are no more of those mass abductions of humanity. There are no more of that brainwashing of the collective consciousness. There are no more of that control and manipulation from the draconians that were in your society, or the ones that were working with them from the universe. That has all been cleared out. I guess that's a good place to stop. So what questions do people have for me? Is the cancer of the two royals, Charles and Kate, are said to have a way of taking them out publicly. Yes, that is a way that they are considering doing it. Both individuals are gone. We know that Shelly recently did a channel connecting with Kate, and she felt like she was still here, but she has actually been taken out, and she's a very, very, very strong soul essence. So there is a aspect of her consciousness that remains on the earth plane. But Charles was taken out by those that are taking down the deep state. He was taken out by the white hats, as you call them. Kate was attempting to give disclosure. I mean, not attempting to, she did give disclosure. And she was taken out by them because of what she did when they found out what she did in terms of the disclosure. The kids are still on the earth plane and they are being protected. We do feel Kate's presence. She's like, no, I'm here. I'm telling you, I'm here. So I can only say what I see. And at this now moment, I see that she was taken out by the royal family, just as Diana was taken out by the royal family, but she's very, very strong individual. And she did a lot about it at the I'm sorry to laugh. She says, but at the end of the day, I'm the one that won, am I not? Because they've been taken out. And that's all she really cared about, was protecting her children through taking out those that were trying to perpetrate yet another generation of the horrible stuff that they did. So Charles has been gone for at least 2 years to 3 years. So this saying he has cancer is a way of trying to publicly remove him. Saying that Kate has cancer is a way of trying to publicly remove her. It is actually waffling just how much they're going to say about the royals, because just as that other individual asked about that consciousness, how can so many people be so shut down? They're all apart. It's all that same vibrational frequency. So it's unclear how that will change or evolve. Exactly how it will come out at some point of just how bad they were and just how they were interacting with the nefarious ones. But will that be a part of this first layer, or will that be a part of even what comes out this year? Probably not. So they may use that as a convenient way to get rid of them. I don't know. It feels like William is gone too. It feels like all of the royals are gone. We just don't feel them on the earth plane. Okay. I have no idea if I answered that or not. Is the energy from the 2 eclipses the biggest one that will allow full body activations for those who are ready? Yes. Yes. How is the equinox and the 2 eclipses affecting those who are close to the transitioning off the planet and those who are in the fear-based negative energy? Will this energy help them leave and want to transition because they do not want to move forward and grow spiritually? Okay, don't really understand that, but let me think about it for a second. What this energy is going to do is it's going to create a transition on the planet, period. There will be those that are already close to transitioning, and whether they say, oh, there was this, there's this now, maybe I should give it a chance, or they're just done. They're just done, and they just transition. I do not see there being very many. Those that are ready to transition off are going to transition off, period. The time that someone transitions off this planet is done with your soul connection and your soul agreement. And so whether the energy changes, the shift in energy, this greater influx of energy that is going to nudge people towards opening up and consciousness, is going to affect those that are alive and well. Those that are not going to make the transition, those that are going to choose to stay in the negativity, we're talking the really low negativity, we're talking the antisocial, we're talking the ones that do harm to others. They're the ones that are most likely not going to open up to this energy. There may be those that are just your friends, your family, your loved ones that are not going to open up, or they may be very slow to open up. It may take them a long time to do so. But if there is at least a few threads of energy that is bringing in the light, that they are allowing to work on them, be it unconscious or conscious, then they will stay upon the planet. But otherwise, those that are close to going, they'll just decide they're going. But is it due to the energy of the equinoxes? I can't really say one way or the other because they've already made that commitment. They're already ready to go. Oh boy, these big long ones, I can't. It's hard to comprehend when Shelly's in a channeling state. There's a person named Skye Prince from Australia who was part of the secret space program and used to operate med beds. For the last year, she's been telling people that we will have med bed appointments when we go to our currency exchange. She's in direct contact with the allegiance that is telling her to organize the humanitarians. She said there are many med beds that are in the States now, and how does that square? Okay. 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 Okay, so as I'm looking at this energy and as I'm tapping into what she's talking about, indeed, there are many med beds that are already there, that are already set up, that are already in, ready for to be activated. Now, is that on the plane of existence that you're living in, or is it on a different plane of existence? Is it on a different timeline than what you're living? Are there, and as we've said long ago, there is a blending together of multiple timelines. This has always been the case, but it's much more so and much more intense at this time. So we have a sense of a exchange of currency happening very quickly, like within the next weeks to 1 or 2 months down the road. And we do not see the med beds being available at that time. Okay, let me rephrase that. They will be available in some locations, but not like it's not like it'll be get your money, get your treatment, get your money, get your treatment. It just doesn't feel like it's as all encompassing as that. These feel like two separate things to us. And then the med beds will be coming out. We see that there will be some that people will use, but I just don't, I mean, I'm sorry. I know people have gotten mad at me for saying this, but I just don't see them on every single corner, on every single place, being used by people on a daily basis or, a monthly basis or whatever it is that they need. I just don't see that happening right now. It will happen at some point, and in fact, the time will come down the road when people will have them in their own houses. But I just don't see it being that common in the next few months, weeks or months. But I do see the exchange of currency taking place within the next few weeks or months. So to me, they are two separate things. I can't, as to this person, I've looked at her before, and she's got a good energy. We do believe she is she believes in what she's saying. We do believe she is authentic. But our perspective in looking at the situation is what it is. Is the inner earth real? What's it like? Will humans be able to access it? Will it be disclosed? That is a far down disclosure that will be coming about. There is an inner earth. The inner earth is where many consider that Lemuria went when it transitioned into the 7th dimension, you could say. And I know that people tend to think of like, here was the 3rd, here's the 4th, here's the 5th, here's the 6th, like concentric circles going out. So you would think the 7th dimension was way out in the outer atmosphere of the earth plane, but it's actually within the core of the earth. So yes, there is an inner earth. Yes, there are civilizations that are there. Yes, you can access them already through your consciousness. You can go there, like send your consciousness in a meditation or ask to know more information about it. And you can do that right now. We've done it before ourselves, as we've Brysentia has spoken about it, because Brysentia has been there many times. I have been there before, indeed, but not as consistently as she has. So It's hard to say. Will you be able to like take a tram and get there? Maybe in 5 or 10 years down the road, but that's not happening anytime soon. It's much more so about the about getting there through consciousness. And again, go back to Crystallia as she spoke of the many different levels of consciousness and how you can be really deeply connected to something or really loosely connected to something, but you're still connected into that energy. Okay, so many of them are what are going to be coming up. These look like these are more humanoid in their appearance, and they will be coming to the surface, and they will be a part of as people talk about the ETs or the non-terrestrials, they'll have a name for them, but they'll be associated with the ETs that are coming into the earth plane. But they can create a healing and a balanced energy by just being present in the room, or in the space wherever it is that they manifest. And so you will be seeing that more so than you guys going down there, because they don't want it contaminated. They don't want it, uh, well, it's not as much contaminated as you wouldn't really, your frequency is not in alignment with it. So it would be very, very uncomfortable for you there, and you would not last very long. Whereas once there's enough of that higher vibrational frequency on the earth plane that they can draw from as they're present and on the earth plane, then that's easier to do than you going there. Okay. Is there any else, or should we go to Brysentia? All right. Thank you, beloved family, for this opportunity. This is very, very exciting. I am thrilled that we are at the place that we are, and I am very excited to see what is coming forward in the future. Ansaluia. Greetings. It is I, Brysentia, and I come forth at this time to share my thoughts and energy with you. Isn't it always so interesting how you can listen to each one of us, and even though we're all talking about the same thing, you're getting a different vibration, a different frequency, different information. We each try to focus on different aspects of everything that is going on. So what's my message for you tonight? My message tonight is about opening up through your soul energy or through your soul consciousness to the aspect of you that is coming forth to help in this ascension. There are many people that as they talk about the ETs or the non-terrestrials, they think they're all just aspects of yourself. There are many, many that are coming in that are aspects of you. So let me speak for a minute about that, because one time recently someone didn't understand what that is. So as your soul, if you picture your soul as this huge, massive energy, there are threads that come down from that huge, massive energy. And each one of those threads are an aspect of your soul that incarnates in multitudes of different experiences. It might be on the earth plane in 2000 BC. It might be on the earth plane in 1700 AD. It could be any different thing. And whatever that lifetime has, it's sending information and energy back up into your soul, and your soul processes it, giving support to the other aspects or to that one as it may need. So you've been living your life. You've had all these multitudes of different changes that are going on. And all of those changes are being sent up into your soul essence. There are, just as I mentioned, those threads that you consider like your past lives, there are other threads that go out into other existences. Sometimes you could consider that there is a whole big ball or piece of energy from your soul that resides out in the universe, perhaps on another planet, or It can be that you are going directly into the majority of your soul essence, and then from there it sends out energies. People are asking, what is my home planet? Because they think it is not from here on Earth. There are a certain number of you that are originating on Earth. The majority of you did come from other planets, and then you were part of what populated the Earth. The Earth, as you know, is quite ancient, and there has been population upon the Earth for a much longer period of time than what you have in your recorded history. You go to the other planets, you know, Saturn, Mars, Venus. You go to Sirius, you go to Alpha Centauri, you go to Arcturus, you go to Pleiades, you go to all of these many, many different stars and planets, and they all have their own forms of civilization. Sometimes they're a tiny little insect, what you would call an insect. Sometimes they're big, massive beings. And these are all but experiences of consciousness that you as your soul energy wants to experience. Now that we're getting so close to that time when that which is of the universal energy and that which is of the earth plane are going to merge together and become one, that there are aspects, mostly one, occasionally two, there are aspects of you that are living out here, maybe on these ships, maybe on New Jerusalem, maybe in your other planet, but most likely you're closer in. And so that aspect of you has been living these other existences. And now that it's going to be important for people to be able to merge their consciousness of the earth plane with that of something out in the universe, the whole purpose of doing this is to then allow your soul to grow even bigger, to become even more conscious, to become even more expanded. And as I'm saying this, people are like, oh my God, what a burden. If it's a burden, then don't even think about it, because it doesn't matter. I'm just speaking of what's going on in the background and why things are happening in the way that they are. So to kind of add to where Albayon was speaking about the connecting with ETs and finding someone that you can communicate with and how to bring them in. And again, Shelly's feeling that expanded energy, that expanded consciousness. And some of you may feel it now too. So as if you choose to, you can always create that alignment to your soul. And then from your soul, look out to the universe and say, hey, where are you? What are you doing? Can you connect with me? And for some of you, that may be a lot easier for you, because what you're doing is you have that commonality of your own soul essence. And what may also come in alignment with that is that through that frequency and that information or that knowledge that you have, that opens up the door for others that are of a like vibration to that other aspect of you. So sometimes people think about a future self, and they call it someone that is very evolved, someone that has telepathy, can shapeshift, looks completely different, maybe doesn't eat, or maybe does eat differently than what they're doing here on the earth plane. And those are all very they're the aspects of your everyday life that many people will consider. But because the focus of this ascension has been about not only the spiritual aspect of it, but about bringing the consciousness of, 7-8 billion people to a higher level, and about bringing a continuity of that consciousness to those 8 or 9, 7, 8, I don't know, whatever the billions are, way up there, to bring that continuity into all of them. And that is by no means to say that everyone believes the same thing, everyone thinks the same thing. It's just saying you all vibrate at a similar level. And believe me, we're talking long, long, long. I don't even know how to give it a description. Hundreds of miles worth of depth of consciousness. So it's not like it's something small or skinny. It's very wide and very diverse. So your way of being able to understand or to see what's happening or to connect to what's out there and bring your own energy back into you is through communication with an aspect of you that's living out there. Okay, so I wanted to say that. There was something else that I wanted to talk about. I'm trying to bring it back to mind because I'm starting to hear questions that people are asking. I can't think of what it is. Perhaps it'll come up to me as we ask the questions. So let's just jump into the questions. I'm sure there are questions. Let's see. Well, then let me go inside and see if I can come up with what that is. Okay, so one of the things that this may be one of the questions, or it may be something that just I remembered. During this time of ascension, during this time when you get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on, when you have that group of people that have not maybe awakened yet or are still living their everyday life, and they're getting caught up in the fear, when they're getting caught up in the anger, when they're getting caught up in the turmoil, and all of that is so real to them and they think there is nothing else but that, then that's creating a vibration or a frequency. It's already here on the earth plane. So then when you introduce to those people a potential that, you know what, yes, that stuff is happening, but here's something else that's a much greater potential. Here is a ball of light, you could say. You could call it the sun. You could call it whatever you want. But this is also a potential that will make that either go away or be not as important. And that's really hard for some people. In fact, it's very hard for many, many people. What I guess I'm trying to share with you here is that because you're at the end of all of this, you're going to hear a lot of people talking about things and talking about a reality where it's problem after problem after problem after problem. And as they disclose the way that things have been for the last, sometimes for the last basically 50 years or 100 years, but even longer than that, then it's going to make people angry. It's going to make people afraid. And there's going to be even more of that energy that's going to feed what was leading to the disclosure. And this is one reason why it's been put off for so long. No matter how the ins and outs come together, no matter if they do this step first and this step second, or this step first and this step second, no matter what happens, no matter what the level, remember, you're done. You're already here. It's all about everything shaking down to how it's going to look in the new reality. And how it's going to look is so completely different from what you've been accustomed to that your mind is trying to create a reality. And, oh, they're saying this, and they're saying this, and they're saying this. So your mind says, okay, if that's all the truth, then I need to work with it in this manner. Or, as things are changing, as there's a new way of looking at the world, as there is a new way of considering things, how about if you say, oh, I don't really know how I'm going to think about this. I don't really know how I'm going to process this. But I do know that ultimately we're through the ascension and everything is shaking down, and I choose the light. And through the light vibrational frequency, or through connecting to my divinity, I will then have those resources that I am seeking. And then when that part of you, that analytical aspect is like, oh, but this is happening, and this is happening, and this is happening, and this is a problem, and then it will neutralize a lot of what that is. You'll still ask the questions, you'll still think about it, but you won't get as caught up in it as perhaps those that aren't remembering to open to the light, that aren't thinking about that. So that was what else I wanted to discuss here. And just put it in the back of your mind, and as things happen in the weeks and months to come, hopefully it'll come forward as a reminder to you. All right, questions now. Will the 3-letter agencies be abolished? Yes, they will. And there will be something temporarily that will take over, but they will be abolished and completely gone. Were we lied to about not looking at the eclipse without special glasses? Is it safe to look at the eclipse without protection? If you are in the direct line, you do need protection, because we already talked about the intensity of the energy that is coming through. If you're looking at it, say, I don't know how many degrees off from it, where you're not in that very direct line, then you don't need to wear glasses. But if you're directly in the line, if it's 100% right over you, I would recommend wearing glasses. Who are our spirit guides? Are they assigned to us, and are we ourselves guides to others in different dimensions? 100%. They are not assigned to you as much as you request them. Sometimes they're like, most everybody had a guardian angel, oftentimes a male and a female, that was kind of assigned to them at the time that they were born. And those stay with the majority of you for the majority of your life, if not your entire life. However, with this ascension process taking place, sometimes they get changed out. Sometimes they're no longer staying with you as much as they used to. Your spirit guides, like the animals, the things like that, they change depending on what's happening with you. As you continue to grow and evolve, you may have one guide come in to work with you. You learn what you need to learn, and then they leave. But just as we talked about those other aspects of yourself that are living out in the universe or living other lifetimes, you can be in a non-physical form or a physical form, someone that helps other people. So it can go in many different directions. But this is when we say that you are never alone, there are so many different layers of what that means. But every single one of those 8 trillion people on the earth have multiple guides around them. So sometimes these guides have multiple people they're watching over, but it all is kind of interrelated. I don't need to go into that. But the key here is that you are not alone. You oftentimes have multiple different guides that are with you and around you. And yes, some of them change as you need them to change. Hello, could you tell us your opinion of Clif High and his information? Clif High and his information. So Clif High is someone that is very intelligent, and he is very intuitive, and he receives a lot of information. However, as I look at him and as I look at many of you, he is still somewhat stuck in the reality that you are walking out of. He was we don't know I don't know what his job was, but something that it feels like an engineering type job, or something that was very mathematical or very analytical. And so that's still a part of, and it's keeping him from seeing a picture. He does see a big picture. He does see a lot of what is going on, and he's very accurate about a lot of what's going on. But what he's leaving out is that this ascension is complete, that the ascension is bringing in light, and that with that light that's coming in, it is going to change some of these outcomes. So so we see him kind of teeter-tottering there. And but if we were to look at him and say, is he one of the ones already ascended? Yes, he is ascended. But is he as high vibrational frequency as many of the others that are around? No, probably not. But that's not a bad thing or a good thing. That just means he's come. The key that I want to share with you about this individual is he comes with true intention, and he's not trying to control and manipulate. He, in his mind, he is very authentic. And so when I look at him, I see someone who's authentic. However, missing that key element of the spiritual aspect of things, which changes everything. Can you please provide any insight as to what really happened to the whistleblower against Boeing, who recently died apparently of suicide? Are Boeing airplanes safe to travel in these days? The Boeing airplanes are fine. As to this whistleblower, he did not commit suicide. He was taken out. And there are, with so many of the different companies that have, that a lot of the nefarious ones were there at the top, and they did trickle down into the different levels. But with this one that we see around Boeing, it feels like there's enough that are doing a good job and that are helping people as much as they can, for safety. You know, they want people to be safe on their airlines. So while I see there may have been some things, which there is anyway, I don't think across the board, I would say every Boeing is affected or has a problem. But he did not commit suicide. What materials do ULBs recommend we wear for shoes and other clothes? Whatever's comfortable for you, whatever breathes, whatever allows you to, like there are certain fabrics that are very synthetic that don't breathe and don't, you know, I don't know what to call it. I don't know what it's called, but something like that, you know, your energy is bright and light and fluid, and it shines out from you. So if you're wearing garments that, and most likely to you, they feel uncomfortable, then it's because you're not able to send your energy out through the garments. So if you think about things that are comfortable, that you can send your energy through, be it the footwear or the rest of your garments, no matter what it is, think about what's comfortable to you and can you really work with your energy. It really depends a certain degree with your mindset and whatever you have become accustomed to, because I'm just trying to think as I'm looking at some of you. Most of you already are intuitively listening to this, so I'm not going to say everyone needs to wear loose robes and everyone needs to wear sandals, because that's never true. It's more so about just being aware. Can you expand your energy? Can you be comfortable in whatever the clothing is? I learned that 8 out of 10 children have dementia. 8 out of 10 people have dementia. My mother, who is 87, suffers from this sickness. Will she and the others be on the planet ascend also? So basically, is it 8 out of 10? I would say no. It's not as high a percentage as that. Will people with dementia, there's a many of them that will heal as this ascension takes place. Some of the dementia is being perpetrated by the medications and the chemicals and the things that are around you. So as things like that get cleared out, they may get sharper and sharper and sharper and come back. And so dementia, if someone is on the ascension process, many of these with dementia are actually quite evolved, and they're playing a role, and that role may be for their soul growth, or that role may be for their family and the impact it's having on their family, and giving the family an opportunity to take care of them or nurture them, or, you know, it's one of those convoluted things. But we see that once all of this is complete and there's no more of the low vibrational frequency and the chemicals that are a part of medications and the chemicals that are in your environment, as those things go away, there will be a drastic decrease in the dementia. Can you talk about what our work lives will look like? I am 60 and totally exhausted, hoping to retire earlier than 70 years. Your work lives will be very different because your focus and your reality. We've talked at different times about the fact that the monetary money that comes back into people and is made available to people will create a change. And then the value, that there's been this hyperinflation that's been going on for so very long, as everything resets itself, you're going to see a lot of that come down. So it won't cost as much to buy things. It won't cost as much to go on vacations. It won't cost as much for different things. And so as all of this takes place, then there's also going to be a revaluation of, because most people that work the super long hours are doing so for the money. There are many people that do like working long hours just because they just like their work, they like what they're doing. And so some of that may continue. But it may also be that some people that are working super long hours are doing so because they don't want to, address their intuition and their spiritual growth, and there's things that are there for like their personal growth, and so they stuff it down and instead work these long hours. So I do see that there's going to be a big change in the value that people place on working and the work environment. There will not be as many of these toxic environments. People will not be working as long of hours. And so, yes, there is going to be a change to that. And the exhaustion in part comes from walking between the two perspectives and walking between these different dimensions. So once this is all complete and everything is there in one dimension, that will also help with people's exhaustion. Will there be real justice served to everyone who participated in these crimes against humanity? Will there ever be part of disclosure? That will be a part of disclosure. It's already that, already you see more and more and more evidence coming out, and more videos coming out, and more statements coming out. So yes, it will be a part of the disclosure, and it will be some of what is the only thing that will convince those people that are so far asleep to wake up. So will it be what so many of you know? Will it be absolutely everything about everything? No. It's going to come out in segments. Like they give enough disclosure to really jostle people and wake people up. And there's a lot of people that are going to be very angry. They're going to be very angry that they were kept in the dark about it. They're going to be very angry that things were allowed to get as bad as they have. And so there are going to be a lot of emotions around that. And then that's where you can just send calming peace, calming balance, calming energy, and to move through that phase. It's like a phase that people are going to go through, and then in the next phase there'll be even more that come out. If you gave the worst of the worst at the very beginning, that would be overwhelming for people. So it's going to come out in blocks and segments, and at some point, yes, every single bit of what's gone on will come out. And these people have many, I would say, many of them, I can't even give you a percentage. Over 80% have already been dealt with and are no longer even on the earth plane. And there are some that have been kept back that will be used as an example. And so yes, that disclosure will come out and it will be made evident. And those that are the nefarious ones will be made known to the public. What's going on in Australia with the government? Will they be exposed soon? It feels like it's a facade. Australia has been stuck for a very, very long time. And there were quite a few nefarious ones that lived down in that area, and they were taking it over by quite a bit. So they're really waiting for people to rebel against the government, is what they're waiting for, to see how many people are going to speak out against the government. It is not the nefarious ones. It is some of them were nefarious and they've been forced to act a role or play a role. Some of them are literal actors that are playing the role. And this is just about trying to really awaken people due to how much will they take, just how much will they take. And doesn't that sound a horrible way to do this? I don't personally like it, and I would like for it to end immediately. Hopefully it's going to end in the not so distant future. But it will come out. Shelly's getting very tired. I think I'm just going to bring it to a close now. I know we probably didn't answer every single question. And so I don't know if we can get rid of this, Alexander. So we're just going to bring this to a close. All of you are here. You're already arrived. And even so, you're going to transition and shift through your own personal experiences. So support one another, support humanity, focus on that ball of energy and light that is coming in. And as you do so, know that you're now entering the next phase. You're done with the old, and you are now creating a new reality for yourself. So be there. Let that be your truth. Beloved, know that I'm always with you. Aunt Saluia. Woo! This is Shelly. Boy, oh boy. It just kind of hit me all of a sudden. I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired. So anyway, lots and lots of good information again tonight. I thank all of you for being here. This has been wonderful. And far as I know, I'm still planning to be here in 2 weeks. But you guys take care, and you can look for me on Telegram, Facebook, YouTube. I guess those three are my primary. Oh, Instagram, I don't do a whole lot with it, and X, I don't do a whole lot with that either. But anyway, so Telegram and Facebook are my two that I prefer. Oh, Rumble, duh. I do get people that leave comments on Rumble, and we converse through that. But anyway, y'all take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.